Hello everyone, my name is Jamie McQuaid from Magnet Forensics, and today we're going to do another acquisition with Magnet AXIOM. I've got in front of me a Samsung Galaxy Note 3, a little bit older device, but we'll show a few methods on how to acquire this device and what that might look like for you if you ever come across it in the field. So I've got AXIOM process up and running here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a name for my case and my image. I'm just going to call it Note 3. We're going to do two acquisitions with this one, a quick and using the recovery method that we've added into AXIOM. So the first one we're going to do is the quick, so I'm going to call it quick, and I'm going to change my image name for the same thing. So we'll do Note 3 quick. You can name it whatever you want, anything works just fine there. So the next thing we're going to do is go to evidence sources. I'm going to choose mobile, I'm going to choose Android, and I'm going to choose acquire evidence. So from here, I have an option. I can either do an ADB method or the recovery methods. We're going to do one of each. It just depends on the type of device and the status of the device when you get it. ADB is the most common one. It's usually the least risky and certainly worthwhile doing. And we're going to do that one first, and then we're going to do the recovery method afterwards. So I'm going to choose ADB here. We can see our device comes up here. Like I said, it's a Samsung Galaxy Note 3. The model number is N900W8. It's an unlocked model. And the OS running on it is Android 5.0. Privilege access says no, so that means the phone is not rooted already. If it was already rooted, I could jump right to a full physical acquisition and we'd be on our way. But the phone's not rooted, which is the normal case you would normally get a phone in this state. Pretty common. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose quick, and what this will do is this will do an ADB backup. It will install an agent on the phone and pull some additional data that does not get included in the backup. This can be really helpful. It's very low risk, and usually I recommend doing this one first. Now the caveats to this is the phone needs to be unlocked and in USB debugging for this to work. The ADB methods need to have access to the unlocked phone. So if you've got a locked phone, you might have to jump to the recovery method. But here I've got the phone, it's unlocked. What I've done is to turn on USB debugging, I would go into the settings of the phone, I would go to About Device, tap on build number 7 times, it unlocks developer options. I go into developer options, and then I can enable USB debugging, and that would allow me to see the device right here, which works great. And again, this is really good. If it's the first time you're connecting this phone after you enable USB debugging on the phone, it will say, do you want to trust this phone? The RSA key is this. Do you want to trust it? You would say yes, and you make sure you trust the phone, and then you'll get this screen right here. So we're going to go down the quick option, or the quick route. You could also try a full acquisition. I know we don't have a full root available. The full will try to root the phone via software and then give you a full physical access to it. I'm not going to do that right now because I know we don't have a root for this device and it's device specific. So we're going to choose the quick. You can try the full. If the full fails, it will default down to the quick for you. But I'm going to jump right to the quick to save time. So I'm going to add to my case. I've got some options here about downgrading the mobile apps. So what I can do here, depending on which apps are installed on the phone and the versions of those apps, older versions of certain apps like Facebook and Skype and that would used to allow a lot more stuff to be backed up in a regular ADB backup or an iTunes backup for that matter for iOS. But what we can do here is if the newer versions stop backing up that data, we can install an older version of that application, and then what we can do is pull that additional details. Works really well. Just be aware that you are changing some more data on the phone in order to get that extra information. So there is some consequences to that, and usually it's perfectly acceptable because otherwise you're not going to get the data at all. But for this, we're going to do just a regular quick, and then we're going to use the recovery method anyway, so it doesn't matter. We're going to get whatever data is there. So we don't need to worry about the downgrade method right now. So I'm going to hit OK. We're going to see the device here. It's ready to go. I can continue adding other evidence, but we're going to just focus on the one device today. Otherwise, we can go through the rest of the processing options, adding keywords, hashes, selecting artifacts. I'm going to leave all the artifacts selected, all the default artifacts. There's lots of them here. And again, we're just going to focus on the acquisition at this point anyway. So I'm going to choose Analyze Evidence, and we've got a good summary ready to be imaged. So I'm going to hit Analyze the Evidence and hit Go. It'll start kicking off in just a second here. And basically what we'll do is it will first try to install the agent. uninstall previous ones if it's if there was a previous one on there. It'll install the agent, perfect, and then it'll attempt to do the ADB backup. So that's happening, and I can see on the phone now, it's actually starting the backup. I don't have to do anything or touch anything. It's begun the backup, and I can let it go through here. So I'm going to pause the video and wait for this to finish. It should only take a few minutes, and then we'll come back when it's complete. Okay, we're back, and we can see that the acquisition and processing is complete. It only took about a minute, almost 2 minutes there. The acquisition took about a minute, and then the processing took another minute. There's not a lot of data on this phone, so it's usually most phones would take a little bit longer with that if it's a regular user's phone. I'm just using this, not worrying about the data that's actually on there. So it was a very quick one for me, but I would expect it to take a bit longer if there's more data on the actual phone. But again, the time doesn't matter. It's more in terms of understanding the process. So that's all done. We can actually go through and examine that quick acquisition and look through the data. If everything you need is there, great. If not, you can actually dive a little bit deeper and try a different method. If the data you were looking for isn't included in that ADB backup or that quick acquisition, it might be worth trying to do a recovery method in terms of getting access to the next device. So let's close out this acquisition. Let's start another one. So I'm going to open up AXIOM again and bring it over here and create a new case. And I'll give a new name to this one. This is again a Note 3, but this is going to be the recovery. And we're going to name the same thing down here below. Again, this is just how I do it. It's up to you how you want to name your cases or your evidence images. It's a personal preference. And then we can choose evidence sources. We can go to mobile. I can go to Android, acquire evidence, and then we chose the ADB before. This time we're going to choose the recovery method. So I go to recovery, and now we get some recovery options. Now, one thing to note, for a recovery method to work, you need to know the exact model of phone. It needs to work for the exact model that you're looking for. And you'll notice the list that I have here, quite a few devices that are supported across here. If this is the first time you're doing a recovery method, you'll need to download the recovery images. They aren't shipped by default with AXIOM. They're actually pretty large in size. So you click the download now button, and it goes out to the site, allows you to get the download and install it onto AXIOM, and then you're good to go, and you'll get this list just like I have it here. So what we're going to do is we're going to search for the model of phone. So I said it's an N900W8, so I'm going to do N900W8. Perfect. Our device is there, exactly what we were looking for. I can choose that, and I'm going to go down here and hit next. You get a little warning here. Again, worthwhile reading, worth checking, making sure that your device can support this. First off, like I said, you've got to make sure it's the exact model number. Variations can differ quite a bit, and you run the risk of actually bricking or destroying data on the phone. You also want to make sure that there's no, it's got an unlocked bootloader and that FRP is turned off. That will prevent you from accessing the phone, and it will cause problems for you, or may cause problems for you. So make sure you do those checks. I've already done it here. I've already gone through and checked for it, if FRP is on or if it's got a locked bootloader. It's an unlocked bootloader. Be aware, a lot of Verizon and AT&T devices have locked bootloaders by default, so those devices might not work for this method. This is an unlocked phone, so I know it's got an unlocked bootloader, which will work just fine for us here. So again, heed the warning there and make sure you understand it and know what you're looking into before you jump too far ahead here. Otherwise, let's hit start. The first thing it's going to ask, it's got a little progress thing here. It's going to ask, make sure there are no devices in download mode connected to the computer. So I'm going to disconnect this phone. I'm going to power it off, and I'm going to put it into download mode. So it's disconnected, so I'm going to hit next. It's going to tell me to put the device in download mode. So what you need to do there is power the phone off, which I'm doing right now, and then put it into download mode. To do that, press and hold the volume down button, the home button, the power button all at the same time. When it's powered off, it will boot into download mode. It'll give you a warning about a custom OS, which is good. I'm getting that now. Hit volume up to continue. It's now in download mode. I can see ODID mode, I can see the model number, I can see that the Knox settings and all that other stuff is all there, good to go. So what I'm going to do is, now that it's in download mode, I'm going to hit connect it back to my computer here. It will try to detect it here, so give it a few seconds to detect it. It'll install a driver as well. So there it is, installing the download mode driver. And then we'll let it keep going, and now it's flashing the recovery image. And on the phone, you may see a blue bar come across. Depending on the phone, it might or might not have that bar. It'll go through it, flash that recovery image. Success, good. Now it's telling me to put it into recovery mode. So instead of volume down, home, and power, we want to put it volume up, home, and power as well. So I'm going to leave it plugged in here, and I'm going to put it in recovery mode. So just a second here. Should be going into it now. Just give it another second. Once it gets into recovery mode here, we should be able to acquire the device. So one more second. Perfect. So it's in recovery mode, and now it's installing the recovery mode drivers. So we need the correct drivers for it. So it'll do that. Give it another second to install those drivers. Oh, and it failed installing the drivers. I think I know why. Mainly because that actually booted right to the phone. It did not end up hitting the recovery mode. So we'll have to retry, which is fine. You'll get a few failed attempts here every once in a while. Always good to retry. We'll just follow through the same steps again and do the exact same step of the process. So now I've got the phone disconnected. I can hit next. And now I'm going to put it into download mode. So I'm going to power off the phone again. Let it power off, and now I'm going to press the volume down, home, and power buttons all at the same time, and hit volume up to continue. And now we're in download mode, so I'm going to connect it back into the computer here. And sometimes these things fail. If you don't get it into the right mode right away, that'll happen. So now it's installing the download mode driver again. So it'll redo this whole step of the process. It's pretty easy, good. It's flashing the recovery again, all good. There was no problem with it before, so I wouldn't expect there to be a problem this time around. And hopefully I can just actually get it into recovery mode properly this time. So now that it's all flashed, let's try putting it into recovery mode. Again, volume up, home, and power buttons all at the same time. There we go. I think it's going to go just fine here. It actually gave me the right message, so we'll let it detect it here for just a second. We'll install the driver in just a second, hopefully. There we go. Now it's good, and there. See, it's completed successfully. So if you do get it to fail every once in a while, it happens. I just, when I was holding down the buttons, I must have missed putting it in recovery mode. It happens pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Just retry and see where you go. It might take a few tries to get it into the right mode, but you can see it's all completed successfully. Now we can hit next, and now we get the acquisition options. And you might notice some slight differences here. So we've got the device, we've got the model, we've got the OS, but we see privileged access says yes now. That means I have root access to the phone. Perfect, I can get a full physical image of this. So now we've got full, and it's actually, we can choose full here, because I don't want to do a quick, I want to do a full image. And I can hit add to case, and again, we're in the same spot we were before. I can leave all the artifacts, all the keywords, hashing settings, go to analyze evidence, and we're ready to go. So I'm gonna hit go, and it'll begin the process again. So we'll just let it queue up here. And this will take quite a bit longer than your standard acquisition with a quick acquisition. It only took a few minutes. This is doing a full phone,